Hello everyone, this is Sir Heron Bautista again, and welcome to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I'll be discussing the topic all about graph of exponential functions. In this topic, we will be utilizing the steps we had on our previous lesson, which is all about the representation of exponential function. The first step is to represent the function as an equation, and then we construct table of values by assigning values for x and solve for y. Then, we're going to sketch its graph by plotting the points on a Cartesian coordinate plane and connect them with a smooth curve. But in this topic, we'll be focusing on its graph, and we are going to describe and determine its properties and characteristics such as the value of its range, its domain, its intercept, its zeros, as well as its asymptote. These 5 key terminologies will be discussed as we go on. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so when an exponential function is defined in the form of f of x is equal to a times b raised to x minus c plus d, then we can now simply identify its domain, range, and asymptote without any difficulty. And the variable d here in our form, in our function, it only refers to the asymptote of the graph of an exponential function. Okay, it will dictate the asymptote of the graph. Now, for the domain, we all know in the properties of exponential function, the domain is the set of all real numbers. So we have here the domain is the set of x values such that x is an element of all real numbers. Ito siya, this is the set notation. In interval notation, it's written as this. So the domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity. And for the value of the range, we will now referring on the variable a on our format above. So we have here, if a is greater than 0, so when can we say that a is greater than 0? If the base is in a positive sign. Kapag positive ang sign ng ating base, then ito yung gagamitin natin. In that case, the range is the set of y values such that y is greater than d. In interval notation, it is written as this: from d, the range is from d to positive infinity, wherein d is not included in our solution since it has a parenthesis beside it. Next, how about when a is less than 0? When a is less than 0, then the base has a negative sign on it. Okay, kapag negative yung sign ng ating base, then a is less than 0. In that case, the range is the set of y values such that y is less than d. Ito yung ating set notation. Then it can also be written in an interval notation as this. So the range is from negative infinity to d, wherein d is not included on our solution since it has a parenthesis beside it. Okay, and to visualize it more clearly, I have here some examples. Example number 1, f of x equals 4 raised to x plus 1 minus 2. Okay, proceed tayo sa domain. Of course, the domain is the set of all real numbers. I just write here the interval notation from negative infinity to positive infinity. Then, let's proceed with the asymptote. Meron siyang minus 2. After 4 raised to x plus 1, meron siyang minus 2. So, minus 2. So, we will take the sign, negative. So, the asymptote is located at y equals negative 2. Ito yung ating asymptote. And then, let's proceed with the value of the range. Okay, look at our base. It is positive. So, therefore, ito yung gagamitin natin when a is greater than 0. In that case, since a is greater than 0, then the range is the set of y values such that y is greater than negative 2. Kung ano yung value ng ating asymptote, yun din ang nandito. Okay, so y is greater than negative 2. So in interval notation, it is written as this: from negative 2 to positive infinity, where in negative 2 is not included in our solution. So, ganyan lang siya kasimple. Okay, another case, another example. I have here f of x equals negative 4 raised to x plus 1. Okay, the domain, of course, lahat yan ganito. Set of all real numbers from negative infinity to positive infinity. Then, the asymptote. May nakikita ba tayong minus or plus after nito? Wala. So, therefore, the asymptote is simply on y equals 0. y equals 0. Kung wala, y equals 0 yung ating asymptote. Then, for the value of the range, tingnan natin ang base. The base has a negative sign on it. So, we will take this one, yung pangalawa. So, a is less than 0. So, ito yung gagamitin natin. So, since a is less than 0, then the range is the set of y values such that y is less than 0. Y 0 kasi yan ang ating value ng asymptote. In interval notation, it is written as this. The range is from 0 to positive infinity, wherein 0 is not included in our solution. So that's how simple to identify the value of the domain, the range, as well as the asymptote of any exponential function. Okay, and this time, we will now graph the two examples we have, the two functions here, and let's find out the intercepts and the zeros, if any. Okay, now let's proceed. As a continuation, we have here the two examples we have earlier. So now let's start with example number 1. F of x is equal to 4 raised to x plus 1 minus 2. So the next step is we have to determine the value of its intercepts. So let's begin with when x is equal to 0. So let's begin with the y-intercept. So when x equals 0, then after that, we should have to let f of x be equal to y. So we have here y equals 4 raised to x plus 1 minus 2. And then after this one, after writing f of x as y, we have to make x equals 0. So we have here y equals 4 raised to 0 plus 1 minus 2. And then 0 plus 1, the exponent of 4 will become 4 raised to 1 minus 2. And then simplify natin ito. 4 raised to 1, that is equal to 4. So y equals 4 minus 2, and 4 minus 2 is equal to 2. Y equals 2, ito na yung ating y-intercept. That is. So, the ordered pair, para malaman natin ang point ng ating y-intercept, that is 0 and 2. 0 is the abscissa and 2 is the y-ordinate. Then, let's proceed with the x-intercept or the 0 of the function. So, that is when y rather, is equal to 0. Then, rewrite ulit natin ang f of x as y. So, we have here y equals 4 raised to x plus 1 minus 2. In this case, yung y naman ang magiging 0. So, we will be having 0 equals 4 raised to x plus 1 minus 2. And then, after doing that, we should have to transfer negative 2 to the other side of the equation para to isolate the x value here. So, from negative 2, it will become positive 2. That is 2 equals 4 raised to x plus 1. And then, after this one, kailangan nating i-convert or express natin ang 4 into an exponential form that is with the base equals 2 para mag-equal silang dalawa. Ang 2 naman, gawin na natin tong express din natin to as an exponential form into its exponential form. And 2, that is equal to 2 raised to 1. Yung 4 naman, that is equal to 2 raised to 2. Then, multiply natin yung exponent na nasa taas, which is x plus 1. Now, same lang ang base natin. We have now the same base. So, therefore, we can now solve for the value of x, which is found at the exponent. So, take natin ang exponent, just copy or equate the exponent. So, we'll be having 1 equals 2, quantity x plus 1. After that, we're going to distribute 2 to each variable or to each term inside the parenthesis. 2 times x and 2 times 1. So, we will be having 1 is equal to 2 times x, that is 2x. Then, 2 times 1, that is equal to positive 2. So, we have 1 equals 2x plus 2. And for us to solve for the value of x, lipat lang natin si 2 sa kabilang side ng equation by applying addition property of equality. So, from positive 2, it will become negative 2. So, we have here 1 minus 2 equals 2x. And then, solve lang natin yung left side, 1 minus 2. That is equal to negative 1, then equals 2x. And for us to solve for the value of x, kailangan ma-isolate yung x dito. So, we are going to divide the whole equation by the number beside the variable x para x na lang matitira. So, that is, anong number i-divide natin? Siyempre, that is 2. So, by dividing the whole equation by 2, so 2 divided by 2 here, 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. Then, ang matitira na lang ay x. So, x is equal to negative 1/2. Ito na yung ating x-intercept or the 0 of the function. So, for us to know or to see the point, this is the point. that is located at negative 1/2 and 0. Negative 1/2, ito yung ating abscissa, and 0, that is our y-ordinate. So this is the ordered pair for the x-intercept or the 0 of the function. And for us to graph the function here above, ang unang gagawin natin is we're going to construct table of values. So I have prepared here the table of values. So I assign values for x from negative 3 to positive 3. Okay, if you still remember in our previous lesson, I already discussed to you how are we going to construct table of values as well as on how to sketch its graph. So after assigning values for x, we will just substitute these values on the function above. So papalitan lang natin yung x nito, yung x na mga numbers na nandito sa unang row. Okay, ito yung magiging y values niya upon substitution. Then after constructing this one, we're going to sketch its graph by plotting the points. Ito yung points natin, the x and y, the ordered pair of x and y, yung negative 3 and negative 31/16 up to 3 and 254. I-plot lang natin ang points, then connect the points with a smooth curve on a Cartesian coordinate plane. At ito yung itsura ng ating graph. So this is now the image of the graph of the function f of x equals 4 raised to x plus 1 minus 2. Makikita natin sa graph yung ating intercept. The y-intercept is 0, 0 and 2, so y equals 2, ito siya. As you can see, nag-intersect siya sa y-axis. Pag sinabi nating intercept, it's the point na kung saan magi-intersect yung graph sa either y-axis or x-axis ng coordinate plane. And then the x-intercept is negative 1/2 and 0. Saan ang x dito equals negative 1/2? Dito siya. So this is negative 1/2, x equals negative 1/2. Dito nag-intersect yung graph. So that is the x-intercept. Ito naman ang y-intercept. Okay, ito yung image ng graph natin. Then, let's proceed to example number 2. F of x equals negative 4 raised to x plus 1. So, kanina, nakuha na natin, na-determine na natin ang value ng domain, range, as well as the asymptote of the following functions. Ngayon, proceed tayo sa y-intercept. That is when x equals 0. Then, copy the function. Just change f of x into y. Yan, napalitan na natin. And then, we are going to let x equal to 0. Then, ganito siya magiging y equals negative 4 raised to 0 plus 1. And 0 plus 1, that is 1. Kaya magiging y equals negative 4 raised to 1. And negative 4 raised to 1, that is equal to y equals negative 4. Sir, bakit negative 4? Kasi wala tayong parenthesis, open and close parenthesis dito. Okay, kaya negative 4 ang sagot natin dito. So, therefore, the y-intercept is located at the point 0 and negative 4. 0 is the abscissa, negative 4 is the y-ordinate. Okay, now let's proceed with the x-intercept and 0 of the function. So, paano natin malalaman yung x-intercept? That is by letting y equals 0. Okay, so when y equals 0, so we have here y equals negative 4 raised to x plus 1. Change natin ang y into 0. So, we will be having 0 equals negative 4 raised to x plus 1. Okay. So, to solve for the value of x, we should have to equate. Kailangan magiging the same. Same ang base ng ating, same ang base ng nasa left side and right side ng equation when we talk about exponential. Okay, exponential function or exponential equation. Since it's all about exponential equation, kailangan equal yung base natin dito. So, on the right side, we have negative 4. 4 yung ating base. Okay, 4 yung number natin. So, sa left side, we have 0. So, the question is, can we transform or convert 0 into an exponential form? Of course not. We cannot do that. So, 0 cannot be expressed as an exponential form. Thus, the function has no x-intercept and 0. Kasi wala talagang tong 0. Walang exponential function na equal to 0. So, wala tayong x-intercept and 0 sa function na ito. Then, proceed na tayo sa table of values. So, I already prepared table of values here. I assign values for x from negative 3 up to positive 3. And then, paano ko nakuha itong mga values ng y? I just substitute the x variables na nandito, yung inassign ko sa x na nandito sa function natin. So, when x equals negative 3 sa function na to, solve natin, ang sagot ay negative 1/16. Then kapag positive 3 naman, ang sagot ay negative 256. Ayan. Sinaturo ko na to on our last topic. So, after constructing table of values, plot natin ang points. Ano yung points? That is the pair of x and y. Diba? Sa Cartesian coordinate plane, doon natin siya ipa-plot. And then, connect natin ang points with a smooth curve. So, ito na yung itsura ng graph ng function na ito. Ayan siya. Ayan ang itsura ng graph. As you can see, yung intercept natin, andito siya. O, ito, -4, yung y. So, it's the y-axis, nag-intersect dito ang graph at -4, therefore, it's the y-intercept. Tama ang points natin, 0, -4, tama. And then, we don't have any x-intercept or 0. So, ito na yung ating graph. So, that is the whole process of determining the domain, the range, the asymptote, the intercepts, the x and y intercept of the graph, as well as the zero of the graph of an exponential function. So I hope you learned something from my discussion, and thank you for listening and watching this video. Okay, thank you so much.